To our witnesses for being here today. We do appreciate this. And Mr. Chairman, I thank your staff for the good work that they have done working to facilitate these hearings on holding big tech accountable. We appreciate that. And today's conversation is something that is much needed, and it is long overdue. For too long, we have allowed platforms to promote and glorify dangerous content for its kid and teen users. In the weeks leading up to this hearing, I've heard from parents, from teachers, from mental health professionals who are all wondering the same thing. How long are we going to let this continue? And what will it take for platforms to finally crack down on the viral challenges, the illicit drugs, the eating disorder content, and the child sexual abuse material? We find this on your platforms. And teachers and parents and mental health physicians cannot figure out why you allow this to happen. It seems like every day that I hear stories about kids and teens who are suffering after interacting with TikTok, YouTube, and Snapchat. Kids as young as 9 have died doing viral challenges on TikTok. And we've seen teen girls lured into inappropriate sexual relationships with predators on Snapchat. Your parents, how can you allow this? How can you allow this? I've learned about kids and teens who commit suicide due to bullying that they've suffered on these sites and the platform's refusal to work with law enforcement and families to stop the harassment when asked. If it were your child, what would you do to protect your child? Does it matter to you? My staff has viewed abusive content featuring minors and videos of people slitting their wrist on YouTube. It's there. Yet all the while, kids and teens are flocking to these sites in increasing numbers, and the platforms love it, as they know that youth are a captive audience, one which will continue consuming the content that is fed to them through these algorithms, even if it puts them in danger. They're curious. They get pulled down the rabbit hole. They continue to watch. And these platforms are getting more and more data about our children. But do we know what they're doing with that data? In the case of Facebook, we learned that they're using it to sell their products to younger and younger children, those who cannot legally use their services. But these platforms, you all know you have children on these platforms that are too young to be on these platforms, and you allow it to continue because it's money. It's money in the bank. It is money in your paycheck. And obviously, money trumps everything. And with some of our witnesses today, we have real reason to question how they are collecting and using the data that they get from American children and teens. I've made no secret about my concerns that TikTok, which is owned by Beijing-owned ByteDance, is paving the way for the Chinese government to gain unfettered access to our children and teens. And TikTok, despite vague assurances that they, and I'm quoting, store data outside of China, end quote, has not alleviated my concerns in the slightest. In fact, earlier this year, they changed their privacy policy to allow themselves to collect even more data on Americans. Now they want your face prints and voice prints in addition to your geolocation data and your keystroke patterns and rhythms. They also collect audio that comes from devices connected to your smartphone, like smart speakers. They collect face and body attributes from videos, as well as the objects and the scenery that appear in those videos. This makes sense to some degree to create videos, but given China's propensities to surveil its own citizens, why should we trust that TikTok, through ByteDance, isn't doing the same to us? Most Americans have no idea this is happening. And while they hope on the face of things to reassure us by creating US-based offices for their high-priced lobbyists and marketing personnel, it just is not enough. We see through it all, as we will get into today. TikTok's own privacy policies give them an out to share data with ByteDance and the Chinese Communist Party. Yet most Americans have absolutely no idea that the Chinese Communist Party is getting their information. The time has come where we must focus on what Congress can do to secure American consumers' personal data. As a mother and a grandmother, I know this is doubly important when it comes to our children. As this hearing will show, we can't afford to wait on that, so thank you to the witnesses. We look forward to your cooperation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Blackburn. We have with us this morning Ms. Jennifer Stout, Vice President of Global Public Policy at Snapchat. Ms. Stout is the Vice President of Global Policy, and prior to Snapchat, she spent most of her career in government working for then Senator Joe Biden and at the United States Department of State. Mr. Michael Beckerman is Vice President and Head of Public Policy at Americas at TikTok. He joined TikTok in February of 2020 and leads their government relations. He was previously the founding president and CEO of the Internet Association. We're joined by Ms. Leslie Miller, remotely Vice President, Government Affairs and Public Policy at YouTube. Ms. Miller leads YouTube's public policy team. Previously, she served as acting head of global policy for Google. Why don't we begin with your testimony, Ms. Stout? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Blumenthal, Ranking Member Blackburn, and members of the subcommittee, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Jennifer Stout, and I am the Vice President of Global Public Policy at Snap. I've been in this role for nearly 5 years after spending almost 2 decades in public service, more than half in Congress. I have tremendous respect for this institution and the work that you are doing to ensure that young people are having safe and healthy online experiences. To understand Snap's approach to protecting young people on our platform, it is helpful to start at the beginning. Snapchat's founders were part of the first generation to grow up with social media. Like many of their peers, they saw that while social media was capable of making a positive impact, it also had certain features that troubled them. These platforms encouraged people to broadcast their thoughts permanently. Young people were constantly measuring themselves by likes and by comments, trying to present a perfect version of themselves because of social pressures and judgment. Social media also evolved to feature an endless feed of unvetted content, exposing individuals to a flood of viral, misleading, and harmful information. Snapchat is different. Snapchat was built as an antidote to social media. From the start, there were 3 key ways we prioritized privacy and safety. First, we decided to have Snapchat open to a camera instead of a feed of content. This created a blank canvas for friends to visually communicate with each other in a way that was more immersive than text. Second, we embraced strong privacy principles and the idea of ephemerality, making images delete by default. Social media may have normalized having a permanent record of conversations online, but in real life, friends don't break out their tape recorder to document every conversation. Third, we focused on connecting people who were already friends in real life by requiring that both Snapchatters opt in to being friends in order to communicate. Because in real life, friendships are mutual. We have worked hard to keep evolving responsibly. Understanding the potential negative effects of social media, we made proactive choices to ensure that all of our future products reflected those early values. We were influenced by existing regulatory frameworks that govern broadcast and telecommunications when developing the parts of our app where users had the potential to reach a large audience. Discover, which is our closed content platform and features content from professional media publishers and verified users. And Spotlight, where creators can submit creative and entertaining videos to share, are both structured in a way that does not allow unvetted content to get reach. Our design protects our audience and makes us different. When it comes to young people, we've made intentional choices to apply additional protections to keep them safe. We've adopted responsible design principles and rigorous processes that consider the privacy and safety of new features right from the beginning. We take into account the unique sensitivities of young people. We intentionally make it harder for strangers to find minors by not allowing public profiles for users under 18. We have long deployed age-gating tools to prevent minors from viewing age-regulated content and ads. We make no effort and have no plans to market to young children. Individuals under the age of 13 are not permitted to create Snapchat accounts, and if we find them, we remove them. Additionally, we are developing new tools that will give parents more oversight over how their teens are using Snapchat. Protecting the well-being of our community is something we approach with both humility and determination. Over 500 million people around the world use Snapchat, and 95% of our community says that Snapchat makes them feel happy because it connects them to their friends. We have a moral responsibility to take into account the best interests of our users in everything we do, and we understand that there is more work to be done. As we look to the future, we believe that regulation is necessary, but given the different speeds at which technology develops and the rate at which regulation can be implemented, regulation alone can't get the job done. Technology companies must take responsibility to protect the communities they serve. If they don't, government must act to hold them accountable. We fully support the subcommittee's approach and efforts to investigate these issues, and we welcome a collaborative approach to problem solving that keeps our young people safe online. Thank you again for the opportunity to appear today, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thanks, Ms. Stout. Mr. Beckerman.
Chairman Blumenthal, Ranking Member Blackburn, and members of the subcommittee. My name is Michael Beckerman. I'm the Vice President of Public Policy for the Americas at TikTok. I'm also the father of 2 young daughters. I'm passionate about ensuring that our children stay safe online. I joined TikTok after nearly a decade representing the internet industry at large because I saw an opportunity to help TikTok responsibly grow from a young startup to a trusted entertainment platform. TikTok is not a social network based on followers or a social graph. It's not an app that people check to see what their friends are doing. You watch TikToks, you create on TikTok. The passion and creativity and diversity of our community has fueled new cultural trends, chart-topping artists, and businesses across the country. It has been a bright spot for American families who create videos together. And I've heard from countless friends and family, and even members of the Senate and your staff, about how joyful and fun and entertaining and authentic TikTok content truly is. And I'm proud of the hard work that our safety teams do every single day to safeguard our community, and that our leadership makes safety and wellness a priority, particularly to protect teens on the platform. Being open and humble is important to the way we operate at TikTok. In the context of the hearing today, that means we seek out feedback from experts and stakeholders to constantly improve. When we find areas or find flaws where we can do better, we hold ourselves accountable and we find solutions. Turning a blind eye to areas where we can improve is not part of our company's DNA. But most importantly, we strive to do the right thing, protecting people on the platform. When it comes to protecting minors, we work to create age-appropriate experiences for teens throughout their development. We have proactively built privacy and safety protections with this in mind. For example, people under 16 have their accounts set to private automatically. They can't host live streams, and they can't send direct messages on our platform. And we don't allow anyone, to send off-platform videos, images, or links via direct messaging. These are perhaps underappreciated product choices that go a long way to protect teens. And we made these decisions, which are counter to industry norms or our own short-term growth interests, because we're committed to do what's right in building for the long term. We support parents in their important role to protect teens. That's why we've built parental controls called family pairing that empower a parent to link their TikTok account in a simple way from their own device as the parent to their teenager's account to enable a range of privacy and safety controls. And I encourage all the parents that are listening to the hearing today to take an active role in your teen's phone and app use. And if they're on TikTok, please check out family pairing. Visit our youth portal, read through our Guardian's Guide that's on our Safety Center. Our tools for parents are industry-leading, innovative, but we're always looking to add and improve. It's important to know that our work is not done in a vacuum. It's critical for platforms, experts, and governments to collaborate on solutions that protect the safety and well-being of teens. That's why we partner with Common Sense Networks, who helps us ensure that we provide age-appropriate content in our under 13 app experience. We also work closely with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the National Parent-Teacher Association, the Digital Wellness Lab at Boston Children's Hospital, and our U.S. Content Advisory Council. TikTok has made tremendous strides to promote the safety and well-being of teens, but we also acknowledge and we are transparent about the room that we have to grow and improve. For example, we're investing in new ways for our community to enjoy content based on age appropriateness or family comfort. And we're developing more features that empower people to shape and customize their experience in the app. But there is no finish line when it comes to protecting children and teens. The challenges are complex, but we are determined to work hard and keep the platform safe and create age-appropriate experiences. We do know trust must be earned, and we're seeking to earn trust through a higher level of action, transparency, and accountability, as well as the humility to learn and improve. Thank you for your leadership on these important issues. I look forward to answering the questions of the committee.
Thanks, Mr. Beckerman. Ms. Miller, I hope you're with us. Please proceed.
Sorry, I think I'm having a bit of technical difficulty. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, and now we can see you. Thanks.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Chairman Blumenthal, Ranking Member Blackburn, and distinguished members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. My name is Leslie Miller, and I'm the Vice President of Public Policy at YouTube. As young people spend more time online, and given their changing needs as they grow up, it's crucial to put in place protections that allow them age-appropriate access to information. We do this by investing in the partnerships, technologies, and policies that create safer environments that allow children to express their imagination and curiosity and empower families to create the right experiences for their children. Our internal teams include experts who come from child development, child psychology, and children's media backgrounds. They work closely with the product teams to ensure that product design reflects an understanding of children's unique needs and abilities and how they evolve over time. The advice from trusted experts informs our ongoing improvements for YouTube Kids and our child safety policies. Our child safety specific policies, which I describe in greater detail in my submitted testimony, prohibit content that exploits or endangers minors on YouTube. Using a combination of machine learning and human reviewers across the globe, we commit significant time and resources to removing this harmful content as quickly as possible. Between April and June of this year, we removed nearly 1.8 million videos for violations of our child safety policies, of which about 85% were removed before they had 10 views. We are constantly working to improve our safeguards. We have also invested significant resources to empower parents with greater control over how their children view content on YouTube. In 2015, we created YouTube Kids as a way for kids to more safely pursue their curiosity and explore their interests while providing parents more tools to control and customize the experience for their families. Videos on YouTube Kids include popular children's videos, diverse new content, and content from trusted partners. After we launched YouTube Kids, we heard from parents that tweens have different needs, which weren't being fully met by our products. That is why we've worked with parents and experts across the globe in areas related to child safety, child development, and digital literacy to develop a solution for these parents, which we called Supervised Experiences. We launched this earlier this year on the main YouTube platform. Parents now have the option of choosing between 3 different content choices: content generally suitable for viewers aged 9+ or 13+, and then most of YouTube. The most of YouTube option excludes all age-restricted content on the main platform. We want to give parents the controls that allow them to make the right choices for their children. On YouTube Kids, and even on YouTube for all under 18 users, autoplay is off by default. In the coming months, we'll be launching additional parental controls in the YouTube Kids app, including the ability for a parent to choose a locked default autoplay setting. Our take a break reminders and bedtime settings are also on by default in these experiences. YouTube treats personal information from anyone watching children's content on the platform as coming from a child, regardless of the age of the user. This means that on videos classified as made for kids, we limit data collection and use. And as a result, we restrict or disable some product features. For example, we do not serve personalized ads on this content on our main YouTube platform, and we do not support features such as comments or live chat. And to be clear, we have never allowed personalized advertising on YouTube Kids or YouTube Supervised Experiences. There is no issue more important than the safety and well-being of our kids online, and we are committed to working closely with you to address these challenges. I again would like to thank you for the opportunity to appear today and look forward to answering your questions.
Thanks, Ms. Miller. We're going to do 5-minute rounds. We have votes at 11 o'clock. We have 3 votes, but I think we'll be able to juggle the questioning and the testimony, and if necessary, we'll take a short recess. Let me begin. As you know by now, in August, Senator Blackburn and I wrote to Facebook asking whether they had done any research, whether they had any facts that showed harm to children. And in fact, they denied it. They dodged the question. They disclaimed that Instagram is harmful to teens. Let me ask you, and I think it's pretty much a yes or no question, the same question that we asked Facebook. Have any of your companies conducted research on whether your apps can have a negative effect on children's or teens' mental health or well-being, and whether your apps promote addiction-like use? Have you done that research? Ms. Stout?
Senator, we have conducted research. Much of our research is focused on our products and how we can improve our products and services to really meet the needs of our users and our community. And as I mentioned in my opening testimony, some of the research that we did shows that 95% of users say that Snapchat makes them happy.
Will you make that research available to the subcommittee?
Yes, Senator, we would.
Mr. Beckerman?
Senator, thank you for the question. We believe that research should be done in a transparent way. And for us, we partner with external experts and stakeholders to get their feedback. And we think that this is something that everybody can work together on. And additionally, we've actually supported passage of the CAMERA Act, which would have additional funding at NIH, and we'd love to see this done in an external way, in a transparent way.
Ms. Miller?
Yes, Senator, we work with experts to leverage their insights and research to make sure that our product and policy decisions are up to date based on their insights.
Now, I've asked whether the research has been done that could show negative effects or addictive-like impacts. You've all indicated that you've done that research, and Ms. Stout has indicated that her company will make it available. I'm assuming, Mr. Beckerman, your company will? You're nodding. And Ms. Miller?
Yes, Senator, we have published some research, and we would make additional available.
Let me add ask now about the black box algorithms. As you know, these algorithms exist. They function to drive sometimes toxic content at kids, more of it and more extreme versions of it. The consequences are potentially catastrophic, but the companies are, in effect, grading their own homework. They're evaluating their own effects on kids when it comes to addiction and harms. Let me ask you a similar question. Do you provide external independent researchers with access to your algorithms, data sets, and data privacy practices? In other words, if an academic researcher comes to you on child psychology and wants to determine whether one of your products causes teen mental health issues or addiction, could they get access to raw data from you without interference? Ms. Stout?
So, Senator, I think it's important to remember that on Snapchat, algorithms work very differently. Very little of our content is sorted algorithmically.
Well,
So-
I'm going to apologize because I'm going to interrupt just to say the question is about access to independent researchers on those algorithms that you do use. And there's no question that you have algorithms, correct?
Correct, Senator. We do have algorithms, but they just operate very differently. To your question on whether we've had any requests for outside researchers or mental health specialists to come and access that, to my knowledge, we have not, Senator.
But you would provide access to them.
Yes, I think it's important to understand that algorithms for us just operate differently. So it's to compare them against different platforms, just would mean very different things.
That's one of the facts that an independent or external researcher would verify, whether
Indeed.
they are different and how they're different if they are. Mr. Beckerman.
Yes, Senator. We believe that transparency for the algorithm is incredibly important. We were one of the first companies to publish publicly a deep dive in how our algorithm works. We've also opened transparency and accountability centers where you invite outside experts and invite you, Senator, and your staff to come in and see exactly how the algorithm works. Additionally, it's important to give additional choice to people. And in your feed, for example, on TikTok, if you're not interested, you can indicate that, and we're adding additional tools to give choice and transparency to individuals as they're using TikTok.
So external access, okay.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Miller.
Senator, we're very transparent as it relates to the way in which our machine learning works. For example, our quarterly transparency report that summarizes the videos and channels that we removed based on violating our community guidelines. Earlier this year, we rolled out an additional statistic called the violative view rate.
Again, Ms. Miller, I really apologize for interrupting. The question is whether you provide external independent researchers with access to your algorithms and data sets and data privacy protection. You allow external
regularly. I'm sorry, Senator.
Do you provide that access?
We regularly partner with experts, for example, in child development, mental health, to work
But
closely
they
with
are experts
them.
chosen by you. If somebody independent came to you and wanted that access, yes or no, would you permit it?
Senator, it would depend on the details, but we are always looking to partner with experts in these important fields.
Well, I'm going to cite the difference between your response and Mr. Beckerman's and Ms. Stout's, which indicates certainly a strong hesitancy, if not resistance, to providing access. Let me ask you, Ms. Miller, I think one of the issues here really relates to the claim that these sites are transparent and truthful, which is belied by our actual experience, and the fact that they favor regulation. In the case of Facebook, they have mounted armies of lawyers, paid millions of dollars to fight regulation, whether it's the Earn It Act and other responsible reforms to Section 230, or privacy legislation, or requirements to be more transparent on algorithms. According to the details made public last week, in a multi-state antitrust case, Google has, quote, sought a coordinated effort to forestall and diminish child privacy protections in proposed regulations by the FTC and legislation. That filing described attempts to encourage Facebook and Microsoft to fight privacy rules and back down on advocacy for legislation, in particular a meeting where that exchange occurred. This disclosure made news, but everybody in DC really knew it was true. What was new is that Google's hypocrisy was finally called out. The fact is that Google and YouTube have been fighting against privacy behind the scenes for years. It's hidden in plain sight. It's an open secret. You've been lobbying the FTC to weaken our existing privacy rule. You spent vast sums of money fighting California's privacy rules. I want to ask you, Ms. Miller, what work has YouTube done to lobby against Congress strengthening online protections for children, and is that report and that claim by the multi-state plaintiffs accurate?
Senator, I understand that the material that you're referencing was regarding our point of view on e-privacy legislation in Europe. Our CEO, Sundar Pichai, has regularly called for comprehensive privacy legislation in the U.S. And on behalf of YouTube, I am not aware of any efforts other than to be involved in conversations in a multi-stakeholder way as it relates to any legislation or bills that are being introduced regarding the oversight or regulation of companies such as YouTube.
So you're saying that these reports about political pressure and lobbying against children's privacy and safeguards are just totally false?
I think we work with lawmakers such as yourself regularly to have conversations to share what we are doing on the platform, the updated protections we are putting in place, but also to hear your concerns and to work with you as you contemplate new regulations. Will
you commit that you'll support privacy legislation as has been proposed?
Senator, I'm not steeply involved in the details of any specific privacy legislation, but I commit that we will work with you and partner with you on federal privacy legislation.
Would you support a ban on targeted advertising to children and young teens?
Senator, at YouTube, we prohibit personalized advertising in YouTube Kids, as well as in Supervised Experiences.
Would you support a ban in law?
We have not waited for laws in order to put those types of protections in place.
Well, I hope that you will, and that you'll be perhaps more forthcoming in the next round of questioning. I'll turn to the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Beckerman, I want to come to you first. In the past, TikTok has said that it has never, nor would it ever, share and provide user data to the Chinese government, even if asked. Yet your privacy policy says you can disclose data collected to respond to government inquiries. It also says you share data you collect with your parent companies and affiliates, and that you transmit user information to servers and data centers overseas. And earlier this year, the Chinese Communist Party acquired an ownership stake and a seat on the board of ByteDance. So does TikTok share user data with its parent company, ByteDance?
Thank you, Senator. This is an important question, and I'm glad you're asking. TikTok does not...
Quickly.
Excuse me?
Quickly, please.
Yes, Senator. We do not share information with the Chinese government, and I would like to point you to a Citizen Lab report, which is one of the most well-respected global national security experts, where they said, our research shows that there's no overt data transmission to the Chinese government, and our testing, TikTok did not contact any servers within China. And then the report goes on to state, Senator,
let me
that
ask
TikTok
you,
does not pose a threat to national security, and I'd be happy to submit that report.
Okay, let me ask you, please submit the report for the record. Do any ByteDance employees have access to TikTok user data or any role in creating their algorithm?
Senator, U.S. user data is stored in the United States. Our backups are in Singapore, and we have a world-renowned U.S.-based security team that handles access to user data.
I understand that you say you store it in Singapore. Tell me about programmers, product developers, and the data teams. Are they housed in China?
Senator, like many technology companies, we have engineers in the United States and throughout and around the world.
And so they have access to algorithms and data.
Senator, we have engineers in the United States, and we also have engineers.
So that answer is yes. What about Douyin? ByteDance says they are fully separate, but do Douyin employees have any access to TikTok user data or input into the algorithm?
Senator, that's a completely different app from TikTok. And
No, it's a related company. You might want to check that. If the Chinese Communist Party asks you for U.S. user data, what is to stop you from providing it, since they have a seat on the board of ByteDance and they have a financial stake in the company?
Senator, that's not accurate. One, they do not have a stake in TikTok at all.
Oh, yes, they do. It happened in August.
Senator, that's not accurate.
That is ByteDance, and we can clarify that for the record. But the record is that the Chinese Communist Party acquired a stake in ByteDance in August, and they now have a seat on the board. So let's talk about TikTok's privacy policy. It says you collect and keep a wide variety of information, including biometric data such as face prints, voice prints, geolocation information, browsing and search history, not just on TikTok, but on other apps, and keystroke patterns and rhythms. Why do you need all of this personal data, especially on our children, which seems to be more than any other platform collects?
Senator, many outside researchers and experts that look at this have pointed out that TikTok actually collects less data than many of our peers. And on the keystroke issue—
Outside researchers that you're paying for?
No, Senator.
You would submit that to independent outside researchers, because what we're seeing with all of this biometric data and the keystroke patterns, that you are exceeding that. So what do you do with this? Are you creating a virtual you of the children that are on your site?
Senator, I don't know what you mean by virtual you.
Well, a virtual you is you and your presence online. It's like a virtual dossier. I'm sure you understand that term. And what do you need with all of this information? Do you track children's viewing patterns? Are you building a replication of where they go, their search history, their voice, their biometrics? And why does TikTok and ByteDance and Douyin need that information on our children?
Senator, TikTok is an entertainment platform where people watch and enjoy and create short-form videos. It's about uplifting and entertaining content. People love it. And I disagree with the characterization of the way—
That is it from the positive. But there's also a negative. And the negative is that you are building a profile, a virtual you, of our children because of the data that you're collecting. You mentioned the family parent provision that you have. So when you have a parent that goes on that, are they opening their data to TikTok? And is TikTok following them or following and capturing their search history? See, Mr. Beckerman, when you capture all of this data and you hold all of this data, then you are invading the property, the privacy of individuals that are on your site. And that applies to you, to Ms. Stout, to Ms. Miller, because you say because you are using the platform, we can do this. But in essence, what you're doing is making our children and their data, you're making that the product, because you turn around and you sell it, and then basically it becomes weaponized against their users. Mr. Chairman, I'm over time. I have several questions for Ms. Stout, Ms. Miller, and we'll do those in a second round.
We'll have a second round. Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you to both of you. Reports indicate that nearly half of kids 9 to 12 and a third of kids age 7 to 9 use social media on platforms like Facebook, Insta, Snap, TikTok, YouTube. I don't think parents are going to stand by while our kids and our democracy become collateral damage to a profit game. And I heard last night Mark Zuckerberg's words to his earnings report. And while he may be out there acting as a victim at his $29 billion quarter earnings report meeting, the true victims, the mom in Duluth who can't get her kid off Facebook to do her homework, the dad mourning losing a child to a Snap speed filter that measured the kid at going 123 miles per hour, trying to beat the filter, or a child exposed to content glorifying eating disorders on TikTok. So I have had a case right in my state, 2 cases actually, of young people who got drugs through Snap. And I wanted to first start out with that with you, Ms. Stout. This is a story, there's 2 kids, Devin Noring, Ryan McPherson. Devin's story, he was suffering from dental pain at the beginning of the pandemic. He couldn't go in to see a doctor. He'd been given a Percocet before, and a classmate said he had a Percocet. Well, what this young man did not know is that this Percocet was laced with fentanyl, and he died just like that. As his mom said in a letter to me, all of the hopes and dreams we as parents had for Devin were erased in the blink of an eye. A group of parents, including Devin's mother, Bridget, demanded answers and accountability from Snap on this issue in a letter to you in September. Ms. Stout, I want to know what the answers are. Will you commit to providing more information about the automated tools Snap uses to proactively search for illegal drug-related content as the parents ask?
Senator, I very much appreciate you raising this issue because it has been a devastating crisis that's been afflicting our young people. I want to make clear we are absolutely determined to remove all drug dealers from Snapchat, and we have been very public about our efforts in this space. First of all, we have stepped up our operational efforts, and my heart goes out to the family of Devin Noring. I've met with Bridget Noring. I met with her back in April. I heard from her and other families to understand what is happening to them, their experience, and also what's happening on Snapchat. We have stepped up and we have deployed proactive detection measures to get in ahead of what the drug dealers are doing. They are constantly evading our tactics, not just on Snapchat, but on every platform. We've also stepped up our work with law enforcement. Just last week, we had a law enforcement summit where we gathered over 2,000 members of law enforcement across the country so that we can understand what they're dealing with and find out best practices on how we can get them the information they need to help their investigation. And finally, Senator, this is so important, but we have deployed an education and awareness campaign because what is happening on our platforms all across social media and technology platforms is that young people who are suffering from mental health and stress induced by the pandemic and other issues, they are reaching for substances, oftentimes pills and opioids, but these substances are laced with fentanyl, enough fentanyl to kill them.
Mm-hmm. But here's my problem is that if a kid had just walked into, say, a pharmacy, you wouldn't be able to buy that or get that. But in this case, they can get on your platform and just find a way to buy it. And that is the problem. And I guess I want to know, are you going to get your drugs? I appreciate everything you said. I appreciate you meeting with the mom. Are you going to get drugs off Snapchat when you have all these kids, half the kids in America looking at these platforms?
I assure you, this is such a top priority for our entire company. And Senator, it's not just happening on our platform, it's happening on others. So therefore, we need to work collectively with other platforms, the other companies that are here today.
That's good.
To work together.
Okay, thank you. I think there's other ways to do this too, as creating liability when this happens. So maybe that'll make you work even faster so we don't lose another kid. Mr. Beckerman, Recent investigation by the Wall Street Journal found that TikTok's algorithm can push young users into content glorifying eating disorders, drug, violence. Have you stopped that?
Yes, Senator. I don't agree with the way the Wall Street Journal went about that, but with that said, we have made a number of improvements to the way people can have control over the algorithm and have age-appropriate content on TikTok.
Okay, and what are those changes? Like, are they still getting, they're completely protected now from this content?
Senator, the content related to drugs, as you're pointing out, it violates our community guidelines. As it relates to minor safety, over 97% of violative content is removed proactively. Of course, we want to get to 100%, and it's something that we're constantly working on.
Are you aware of any research studies your company has conducted about how your apps may push content promoting eating disorders to teens?
No, Senator.
Okay. Did you ask for any hurdle studies on eating disorders before testifying?
Not that I'm aware, but we do work with outside experts to understand all of these issues. I think it should be done in a transparent way. As I mentioned earlier, I'd love to see the CAMERA Act passed so we can have additional research in the public domain that all of us can learn from and improve.
Okay, I'll save my questions for Ms. Miller for the next round. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Klobuchar. And again, I would remind everyone that you've committed to provide the research that you just referred to in your responses to Senator Klobuchar. All of you have committed to provide that research, and we'll look forward to receiving it within days or weeks, not months. And I particularly appreciate Senator Klobuchar's reference to creating liability as a strong incentive, which would involve reform of Section 230. I understand.
And Mr. Chair, if I could put this letter in from the parents into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you.
We've been joined by Senator Cantwell remotely.
Mr. Chairman, I would defer to my colleagues, Senator Markey and Senator Baldwin.
Thanks very much. Senator Markey.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, very much. The problem is clear. Big tech preys on children and teens to make more money. Now is the time for the legislative solutions to these problems. And that starts with privacy. I've introduced bipartisan legislation to give children and teens a privacy bill of rights for the 21st century. Today, a 13-year-old girl on these apps has no privacy rights. She has no ability to say no. No, you can't gobble up data about me. No, you can't use that data to power algorithms that push toxic content towards me. No, you can't profile me to manipulate me and keep me glued to your apps. No. You have no rights, 13-year-old girl in the United States of America in the year 2021. My bipartisan Children and Teens Online Privacy Protection Act gives 13, 14, and 15-year-olds that right to say no. To each witness, do you support my legislation to update the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act to give that 13, 14, and 15-year-old control of their data? Ms. Stout.
Senator Markey, I just want to say that we absolutely support a federal privacy proposal, and we've worked very hard with members of this body to try to.
Do you support my child protection, my teen protection law? Do you support it?
So, Senator, we agree that there should be additional protections put against young people to protect them further from.
Right. Yeah, so you've had a chance to look at the Child Online Privacy Protection update that I've introduced. It's been out there for years. Do you support it or not?
I think, Senator, we'd love to talk to you a bit more about some of the
we've
issues.
Listen, this is just what drives us crazy. We want to talk, we want to talk, we want to talk. This bill's been out there for years, and you still don't have a view on it. Do you support it or not?
I think there are things that we would like to work with you on, Senator.
Listen, this is just the old game. Mr. Beckerman, do you support the Child Online Privacy Protection Act being updated the way my legislation does?
Senator, thank you for your leadership on this issue. It's been very important. Yes, we agree that COPPA needs to be updated, particularly as it relates to the way age verification happens across the internet. It's an area that I think has been not given as much attention as it deserves, that we do agree that COPPA does need to be updated.
Do you support my legislation to update it? You've had plenty of time to look at it.
We like your approach. However, I think a piece that should be included is a better way to verify age across the internet, across apps, rather than the system that is in place now. And I think with that improvement, it would be something that we'd be happy to support.
Okay, Ms. Miller.
Senator, we also support the goals of updated comprehensive privacy legislation. On your specific bill, I know we've had conversations with your staff in a constructive manner, and I would welcome continuing to do that.
Yeah, but it's going to happen soon, because this is a crisis that, thank you, Senator Blumenthal, thank you, Congresswoman Blackburn, this has just surfaced in a way that's clear that we don't have any more time. We have to get this finished. Your platforms are full of young teens. Among young teens, 49% say they're on TikTok, 52% say they're on Snapchat, 81% say they're on YouTube. And those users, those 13-year-olds, they deserve the right to say, no, you can't track me. You all, do you agree with that, Ms. Stout? You can't track me. You do agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that.
Do you agree with that, Mr. Beckerman?
Yes, Senator.
Do you agree with that, Ms. Miller?
Yes, Senator, and we have tools for all of our users to handle and control and make choices as it relates to the information that is gathered.
Okay, the bill also would ban targeted ads to children, apps that should never be allowed to track a 10-year-old's browsing history and bombard him with ads based on that data. Ms. Miller, you said that YouTube Kids platform prohibits targeted ads to children. Do you agree that Congress must ban targeted ads to children?
Senator, I defer to you and your peers in terms of what you would want to move forward. But again, we have not waited for laws like this.
No, I'm saying to you, would you support to make sure there's a uniform banning of this practice? If you have already adopted it as a company, would you support that being the standard that we have for all platforms across the country?
As you describe it, it's consistent with the approach we've already taken.
And you would support it? Is that what you're saying?
Senator, again, we are already doing this. And
No, I'm
and
asking you, would you
it
support?
consistent?
No, we're trying to draft a law here. Would you support that provision being in a law that prohibited it?
Senator, yes, as we already prohibit targeted
Okay,
advertising
that's
on
all we're
YouTube
trying
Kids
to
as
do,
it is.
just get to yes, so that we can legislate it. So that we can legislate. Ms. Berkman, Ms. Stout, same question, should kids ban targeted ads to kids?
Senator, we offer those tools already where kids can opt out and not have targeted ads served to them.
Would you support that as a national law, that we ban it?
Senator, an example of that has been the age-appropriate design code, which we adhere to, and I can tell you, Senator, we are looking at exactly that model to
Would you
apply
support
elsewhere.
it as a law that this body passes this year just to prohibit it? If you say it's wrong, should we prohibit it?
We offer those, and we agree with the approach, so,
So yes, you do support it, yes or no?
we agree with your approach, so we are applying it to more
Right, I
markets
appreciate what
outside
you're
of the-
doing. Right, we're now trying to say, if you support it, then we just support a law to
think we're
prohibit
very
anyone
close.
else from doing it. Yes?
I think we're very close, Senator, yes.
Very close. Okay, Mr. Beckerman.
Yes, Senator, I would also say that we should go beyond that, and part of the approach that we've taken is certain categories of ads shouldn't be shown to teenagers and young adults at all, and I think that should be part of the approach as well.
Okay, so we also need to go beyond privacy and tackle the design features that harm young people. Take like buttons. Senator Blumenthal and I have a bill, the Kids Act, which would ban these and other features that quantify popularity. The research is clear. These features turn apps into virtual popularity contests and are linked to feelings of rejection, low self-worth, and depression. Even YouTube Kids has acknowledged this problem and does not have like buttons. To each witness, should Congress ban features that quantify popularity for kids, yes or no?
Senator, as I mentioned in my opening statement, we don't have those metrics. We've never had a like button or comments because we don't think it should be a popularity contest, so we support that.
So you would support that, okay? Ms. Beckerman.
Senator, I think this one is one that it's a little bit more complex than that. We'd happy to have a conversation, but we have implemented much of the age-appropriate design code here in the United States and would encourage similar measures.
So I don't know that there was an answer in there. You said it's complicated. Do you support banning it or not?
On banning likes,
Likes, yes.
I think, again, if we wanted to set it by age, that's something that we could look at.
Ms. Miller?
Senator, as you noted, we are already prohibit things on YouTube Kids such as being able to comment, and we would support working with you in regulation in this area.
Okay, well, you would support working with us, but would you support banning likes?
Yes, Senator, again, we already do not allow for this on the YouTube Kids platform.
Good. And again, the American Academy of Pediatrics just declared a national state of emergency for children and teen mental health. We need to outlaw the online features that exacerbate this crisis. The question that, we have to answer ultimately is, whether or not, for example, we're going to ban autoplay for kids. With this feature, when one video ends, another quickly begins. Kids stay glued to their phones, so apps collect more data and make more money. Today, 82% of parents are worried about their kids' screen time. To each of you today, do you agree that Congress should ban autoplay for kids? Yes or no? Ms. Miller, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, Senator, each of the items that you're outlining, we already prohibit. We have the default set to autoplay off on YouTube Kids as well as for supervised experiences.
Okay, so you would support that being legislated?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Beckerman.
For us, Senator, we have take-a-break videos and time management tools, but as it relates to autoplay on TikTok, you have to proactively switch to the next video.
So would you support that legislation passing then, which would ban autoplay?
We'd be happy to look at it and talk to you about it.
You don't do it.
Again, I think it's important as we look at age-appropriate features for teens. It's something that we build into TikTok proactively. But again, as we look at legislation, I do think a first step is something around age verification across apps.
Again, this is the historic problem. Yes, Ms. Stout, would you support it?
Senator Markey, I don't believe we have autoplay on Snapchat, so I would defer and say that that's something we need to look at more closely.
Okay.
And I'm not familiar with that piece of the proposal in your legislation.
Okay, great. We have a lot of work to do. We have to telescope the time frame, I think, Mr. Chairman, to get these people to finally
Telescoping the
studying it
timeframe
and finally
sounds good.
start acting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.